Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Well, actually, not welcome back. Well, I'm doing my first tutorial on comic book editing and coloring, and basically the whole shebang. I've been doing comics for a little over 10 years now. I did my first 10-issue comic by an indie company here in Vegas, and then I started branching out and started doing my own thing. Comics have really been making a comeback lately, and I just want to kind of walk those through a tutorial because I know a lot of people don't really have tutorials about certain nitpick things about comic books. So I'm here to break it down for you guys in this little early tutorial, okay? So, real quick, my name is Will Calloway. I'm the owner of an indie comic book company here in Las Vegas, and we do comics, nonetheless. All right, so we can sell them online and all over that place. But I really want to get the comic book community in on what it's like to actually be a comic book artist and what are the actual steps to kind of get you guys going in the right direction. All right, so first off, the program that I use right now is called. Oops, I don't know what that is. Just Control Z that. Sorry. The program that I use right now is currently called GIMP. And if you don't know what GIMP is, it is a image, a free image manipulation program that you can get anywhere. And the thing that I like about GIMP is exactly like Photoshop, and of course it's free. You can get it at GIMP.com. And the thing about it is that they're always updating the software, working out bugs and kinks and stuff like that. Photoshop, you used to be able to get it for about a couple hundred for the whole entire program, maybe more. But GIMP is free. Now with Photoshop, you have like monthly subscriptions that you can set up for and basically just get all the stuff for a monthly fee, kind of like buying Netflix and stuff like that. And of course, there's other things out there like Manga Studio, Adobe Illustrator, stuff like that. But I use GIMP, and I've always used GIMP because it's been very effective for me, and it's free. So right now, I'm using GIMP 2.10. This is the newest edition. The only thing that's kind of lame about it is if you go to filters and do alpha to logo, you have to get the script to get in the logo designs. So I have three that I use mostly all the time that are here. But in earlier editions, they had a whole list of logo designs, and if you want to get those, you got to copy the script, script for food and all that stuff, and get that in there and refresh it and all that other stuff. That's the only downside about it. But other than that, it works fine. So that's enough about my program. If you want to go to GIMP or just Google GIMP, GIMP, and they'll be able to show you how to get it. And it's good for Windows and Windows and Apple, Mac, iOS, whatever. Anyways, this is a page that I'm working on now. This is page number 42 of my series, The Super Six, which I'm hoping to get done by the end of the first quarter of this year. It's actually going to be a pretty long comic book series. Anywho, there's a lot of stuff that goes into making comic books. What you're looking at right here is the draft of one of my pages that I drew. And I usually draw with blue ink, or not blue ink, blue lead. And I did this by hand. I didn't do any of this digitally. I draw all my drafts by hand, and I scan them into the computer so that they can be inked and colored. Okay, so let me get a magnifying glass real quick. So right here, you can kind of see a little bit of the stuff. Now, the drafts when I did it by hand are a little bit more. The lines are a little bit more solid. Because I drew in blue ink, what happened was is when I used it on a computer, most of the lines don't come through, so I have to use a filter to kind of have my ink artist see what's going on here. Okay, so you can see kind of like the nitpick details when you actually zoom in and stuff like that. And I actually kind of like it this way because it's not set in stone. And what that means is drafts like this. Let's zoom out a little bit. Drafts like this are basically good for the ink artist because they can use their own imagination kind of do it. And I use GIMP, yes I do. Again, it kind of makes me go into things like this. This is a finished page that I just did at the end of last week. It took a couple of hours, especially if you can see right here. Ooh, all these little power lines on the house. That took at least maybe 2.5 hours just to do on its own. So that was pretty tedious to kind of get those lines straight and to match the perspective. Some of the lines aren't really matching the perspective, but it's nothing really too major. But you can see my point here. And then, of course, I had to do the sky and stuff like that. Literally, the easiest part of this page was this part right here. So that was pretty simple. But even with GIMP, I mean, you could probably do the same thing with Photoshop, but I'm just trying to express to you how powerful GIMP is in doing comic books. It's very powerful. So if you know how to do it in Photoshop, GIMP is like its little sister. So this is a finished page, and with this right here, this is what it's going to look like. Okay, so this is the draft. Okay, of course you want to have a script. If you don't have a script, then you can do what I used to do. I used to freehand it and just kind of draw from my mind of what the script was really going for. You know what I mean? But that's usually the thing about the scripts and all that stuff. It kind of gets you in the right direction. That's where the writers come in. So with this, I followed my script that I have, and I drew out this. This is the draft. All right. So once you're done with the draft, you want to draw the draft as accurate as possible. Of course, you want to start with cylinder shapes and circles and stuff like that to kind of get the movement down, and then later on when you're penciling, which is what this is, penciling, you want to kind of fill in the details, what the body type look like, the head, what's going on here, etc., walking, stuff like that. You want to kind of fill it in, but drafting first for sure with a blue lead pencil is where it's at, and then these are the pencils right here. Okay, so it's still considered a draft, but I like to call it pencils. So this is the penciling right here. Once you're done with the drafting and the penciling, you want to kind of give it some ink, and this is the ink. It's too far out. This is the ink of that page. So boom, okay. Once you're done, see the inks are different from the draft. So this is the draft. This is kind of like my idea. This is what I want in terms of getting the picture going, all right? And then the ink is kind of like the final thing. This is where it all looks like, all right? So we're going to go through this cell by cell. So right here, our characters are really being teleported into another dimension right here, okay? So you can see that. We go here. The effect isn't there. I add the effects in digitally along with all the power lines, because there will be power lines in this page, all right? So if we scroll over, you can kind of see characters right here looking around, and if we go back to the ink, that's exactly what they're doing, looking around, etc. Next, in the next cell, we have a silhouette walking, which is pretty much the same thing. Silhouettes are not that hard, so I love actually looking at silhouettes. Again, we have this character right here looking around, and of course they're probably saying stuff like, where am I, what the hell happened, etc., etc. So you can see that right here. Another silhouette of another character coming through, which is that right there. You can't really see it really well, but you can kind of get the idea of what's going on here. Now with this one right here, I kind of had this character taking his hood off, but I actually changed it right here to kind of get the character to be like, whoa, where are we? What the hell just happened, etc. So he's not really taking his hood off. I may take his hood off later on the next page or something like that, maybe just as like a nonchalant kind of thing. But as you can see, he was originally taking his hood off and saying, what the hell happened? But I'm going to leave his hood on right here just to kind of keep things consistent. I'm really big on consistency when it comes to my comics. And then the last cell, let's go out, is basically that silhouetted person coming to the balcony of his lab, staring down at the 4 or 5 individuals that he just teleported in. And that's this right here. So it's a little bit more detailed. Of course, this is just the inks. I add in all like the funny glow lines and everything, holographic stuff over here and all this stuff when it's time for me to do my finishing effects. So I'm going to walk you guys through that with GIMP because it's really easy to do. It takes a lot of time though. So I'm going to walk you guys through flats, depth, highlights, effects, all that stuff. Okay, so this is just the first series of everything right here. Quick 10-minute video, maybe more. So this is the draft, all right? This is the draft right here. And then we're going to jump right into the ink. All right, so the ink has already been done. I think my ink artists use Autodesk. I outsource all of my inking projects to other people because I already have too much stuff to do on my own. So having someone else do the inks is a bit better than me doing the inks because I just have so much other stuff to do regarding this project. So I outsource everything to him. So but this is the final page, and in my next video I'm going to start doing the flats. So get your pens and pencils ready, your colors, all that stuff. If you use GIMP, great. If you use Photoshop, great, whatever. But follow along with me, and I'm going to show you guys the flats and how to do this perfectly. And if you don't know what the flats are just the basic colors. Like, if you go back here, without all the shading and stuff like that, it's just the basic color, like the orange in the shorts, the white, the green, his skin tone, without all the lighting and stuff. Basically, the flats are just the base colors of your page, alright? So, thank you guys for watching. I hope this helps, and my next video is going to be coloring up the flats. Alright? Have a great day.